we're diving into Pee-wee's Big Adventure, a film so bizarre, so delightful, and so unapologetically weird, we wouldn't change a frame.
Paul Reubens gave us a character for the ages, equal parts chaos goblin and misunderstood genius, and we're still obsessed.
From Dottie to Large Marge, the basement of the Alamo to that iconic dance in white platform shoes. Pee-wee's Big Adventure is a nostalgic dream we never want to wake up from.
So grab your bike and come along for the ride.
This is the Shermer High Alumni Association. Let's begin the big adventure.
Hey, guys.
Hi.
Well, hello.
How was your week?
Totally phenomenal.
Very quick.
How was your week?
Really quick. I feel like this week went by pretty fast.
This was a very fast week.
Yeah.
And I'm not complaining, but time goes quick.
Especially during summer. We leave again tomorrow, and I'm excited to get to normal summer temperatures. That'll be nice.
You're the same temperature we have right now.
Yeah. So it'll be nice to have, I believe it's going to be sunny and mid-70s. And I'm here for it.
Heck
I
yeah.
love that for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. How'd you guys enjoy watching this week's movie?
It's a gem.
It really is. It really
always
is.
reminds me of Janine.
Yes.
Yeah. It's probably my number one movie.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Like of all time?
Yes.
Or of all the Pee-wees?
Of all time.
Wow.
Okay. That's pretty hardcore.
It's very near and dear to my heart.
Well, since that's the case, do you want to give us the synopsis of what we're watching?
Sure. So Pee-wee Herman, who is Paul Reubens, an eccentric childlike man, loves his red bicycle and will not sell it to his envious neighbor Francis, played by Mark Holton. While Pee-wee visits his friend Dottie, E.G. Daly, the bike was stolen. Thinking his bike is at the Alamo, Pee-wee sets off on a trip where he meets many remarkable people, including waitress Simone, played by Diane Salinger, and a motorcycle gang. Eventually, Pee-wee discovers that his bike is being used in a movie and tries to recover it.
Wow. A classic for our times.
It really is.
Yeah. Yeah. So this was a small cast. This really only had 4 or 5 main characters, maybe even less than that, really 4. And back in the 80s, we knew Pee-wee in Pee-wee's Big Adventure as Pee-wee, right? Even in the credits of this movie, it's billed as Pee-wee as himself. But really, the man behind Pee-wee was Paul Reubens. And so I think we just need to take a moment just to recognize Paul Reubens and Pee-wee.
Amen.
Yeah.
So before we dive into the glorious chaos of the movie, let's take a minute to pay tribute to the man behind the bow tie, Paul Reubens. Paul Reubens was an actor, comedian, and a creative force best known for creating the one-of-a-kind character Pee-wee Herman. He'd first developed Pee-wee in the late 1970s as part of the Groundlings, a legendary improv and sketch comedy group in Los Angeles. What started as a stage character quickly became a full-blown cultural icon. Reubens debuted the Pee Wee Herman Show as a stage parody of kids' TV, and somehow it evolved into an actual kids' show. Then came this week's movie, and the world was never the same. The movie made Pee Wee a household name.
After that, he brought Pee Wee's Playhouse to Saturday mornings. That show was pure creative genius in the best way possible. Puppets, animation, moral lessons, talking furniture, secret words. It was all there, and it never talked down to kids. If anything, it raised the bar for what children's TV should be. And while Pee Wee was his most famous creation, Paul Reubens was so much more. He popped up in everything from Batman Returns to Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Blow, Mystery Men, 30 Rock, The Blacklist. The man had range, deep range.
He passed away in 2023 after a private battle with cancer, and his death hit hard. But his legacy lives on in the laughter, in the weirdness, and in the joy. Pee Wee Herman wasn't just a character, he was a cultural moment. And Paul Reubens, he was the genius behind it all. This episode's for him.
Word.
We also have E.G. Daily, who plays Dottie, right?
Yes.
Correct. Yep. Also known as Tommy Pickles from the Rugrats.
Yes.
As she she's voiced a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
So E.G. Daily in the 80s definitely was known from the movie Valley Girl.
Correct.
She is a powerhouse voice actress. She's a singer and an actress. Like I said, she has been the voice, was best known for her voice as Tommy Pickles at the Rugrats, but also as Buttercup from the Powerpuff Girls. That's a big
Oh,
deal.
yeah.
That's a big deal. We watched. I mean, both shows were watched in this house, hands down.
Quite a bit.
Yeah. She is an actual singer. She released albums in the 80s, and she appeared on The Voice in 2013.
Of course. Of course she did.
Gee, that's been around that long.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't, yeah.
Talk about time flying by.
Yeah.
And then we have Mark Holton, and he played Francis. And he is best known for this role, although he was also in The Naked Gun, A League of Their Own, My Life, and Little Giants. And he is still acting today. Do we know
There's-
what he's acting in?
Supporting roles.
Stuff.
Yeah. I really thought he was, I don't know, I guess Naked Gun, I guess My Life. I guess from these movies, I just felt like when I saw the movie that he was already somebody you knew.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that makes sense. I just felt like he was maybe more famous than he actually is. But I don't know why I'm probably dating myself in that. But I was surprised at his bio, actually.
I feel like he's so recognizable on my end because of how many times I have watched Pee-wee as well as A League of Their Own.
Probably.
Like,
Yeah.
I can picture him vividly in A League of Their Own.
Yeah.
So watching those 5,000 times, it seems like he's in everything now.
So maybe it was just the repeat watching of those movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Diane Salinger plays Simone, who is the waitress that Pee-wee encounters that travels to France, but then she does return, but we'll get into that.
Yeah.
And there are special appearances by James Brolin, Morgan Fairchild, and Twisted Sister. And this
there's a story. Do we know the story behind Twisted Sister? Why they were in this?
Yes.
Do we know that story? Okay. All right. I'm sure you'll get to it. And I love that James Brolin and Morgan Fairchild play PW Herman,
PW.
PW. But I think most notably is that this was directed by Tim Burton. He had been handpicked by Paul Reubens. And if you haven't seen the documentary, what was it called, Janine? Pee-wee as himself?
Mhm. I don't remember what it was called.
So, yeah, Pee-wee as himself. So
Yes.
if you haven't seen that, it's on Max. It's
Highly recommend.
it's a great tribute to him, but also shows how difficult he was, for sure. And so I know that a lot of directors had been floated past him for this movie that he just flat out rejected.
Yes.
But I don't know if he had just seen Frankenweenie or if he had just met him at a party. I have no idea how he came up on him, but he like immediately knew this is my guy. And this was Tim Burton's first feature film. And I don't know if I knew that.
I don't think I did.
I didn't know that.
I don't think I knew it before the documentary. I think it was the documentary that I was like, oh my gosh, that I didn't know that. And it makes the large Marge scene make so much more sense. Oh, that's got Tim Burton written all over it.
Oh, yeah.
So I do love that, and that this was written by that kind of OG Groundlings crew of Phil Hartman and Paul Reubens and Michael Varhall, and that they had never written a screenplay before, and so
Right.
they got a book. I think they got a book out of the library. I could be wrong. They may have bought the book, but they followed this book, like How to Write a Screenplay, legitimately. That I think that's what it was called. And they followed it to the letter, and they made it a 90-minute feature film, and the script was 90 pages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they purchased a book written by Sid Field.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, I don't know. Is that in our show notes, or where was that?
That's in my show note.
Okay. And that Pee-wee's, the movie is used like in film classes as an example of basically a perfectly put together script because it followed all of the rules of a movie.
Yes.
I love that. I love that.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
great. I like how it's only a 90-page script, and Paul Reubens said, on page 30, I lose my bike, and on page 60, I find it. It's literally exactly what they said to do in the book. There should be like a MacGuffin kind of thing, something you're looking for. And I was like, okay, I'm looking for my bike.
That's
It's
funny.
perfect. It's genius. So
I love that.
He got the
Yeah.
idea because I guess on the set where they were supposed to be writing a remake of Pollyanna,
right.
on the set, they gave him a bike to get around because the movie sets are so big. And that's where he was like, yeah, my bike. That's it.
I love that.
It is great. He's a pure genius, just absolute genius.
So the budget on this film was $7 million, which seems okay,
Yeah, average.
average. We've seen really horrible movies with way larger budgets.
Yes.
And I don't know, we're conflicting in our numbers here. I saw that it brought in 4.5 on its opening weekend. But Carol, I think you saw something different.
Well, that would have been when it got into many more theaters.
Okay, when it
Like, we
opened
see here-
nationwide.
Right. This was technically the opening weekend only had 21 theaters.
Got
Which
And then
they
it jumped
didn't,
to 824 by week 3.
Okay.
and they didn't release it all over. They did it in small markets to see how it would do because they didn't think that the movie was going to make any money.
Yeah, they thought it wasn't going to do well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's like declared opening weekend was in those small markets. So
Yeah. So then eventually they were like, "Oh, yeah, this is doing pretty good. We should just release it everywhere."
yeah, it did really well. And why is every budget 7 million? Is that just the go-to
A
budget?
magic number.
It really is.
7 is the
Seems
magic
like
number.
But it did go on to gross 40. Did we just talk about this? So at the box office, it made 40, like 41 million domestically. So
It
that's
was
awesome.
a box office smash.
it really was. It really was.
And the critics liked it. It
Did we
got
talk about
88.
Did we talk
Yeah.
about filming locations?
No, we didn't. We can do that.
Yeah.
So it was filmed primarily in California, including Glendale. Oh, what is that word, Kristen?
Pomona?
Pomona, Santa
Yes.
Clarita, Santa Monica, Burbank. You see in the film the Warner Brothers studio, Cabazon Dinosaurs,
Yes.
and of course San Antonio, Texas. And while the exterior of at the Alamo was real, the interior shots were filmed at the Mission San Fernando Rey de España in Mission Hills, LA. So it was primarily it was 90% California based filming.
Are the Cabazon dinosaurs still there?
I think so.
Ooh.
I think so.
Can you Google Maps it?
Canada. We're like driven across this country twice. It's like, how have I not seen these?
They're in Riverside County, California. Yep, they're still there. Yeah, because I know that they've painted them for Pride. They've painted the dinosaurs for like different occasions.
Okay.
I think they painted them for Christmas
cool.
and they put Christmas scarves on them or something.
Damn it. Like we were literally
How
right
far
here.
is this from you, Kristen?
It's not far. We were just down in Joshua Tree many
You
times.
totally missed
And you
out.
could have eaten at the diner and you could have had a tuna platter and a milkshake.
But the diner's gone.
I know. I'm kidding.
Oh, because I would have. It's
Mr.
just
Rex,
it's just
a truck stop.
it's nothing else.
It's just
How
a
have
truck
I
stop
not
with dinosaurs.
Yes.
I don't know because it's literally right off.
It's right
10.
past that casino. Oh my gosh. These are really good premium outlets though too. Anyway, okay. Squirrel.
Well, Kristen, next time you're down there, you're gonna have to go
So
to
that's
those
our
dinosaurs.
locations.
I know. I can't believe it. I bet Tavia's seen them.
Of course, she has.
I can't believe we're right there.
So the critics really liked this movie,
Yeah.
which I love. I don't want to
What's
see
not to love?
bad reviews of this, but tomato meter got 88%.
Right.
Popcorn, but yeah. Go Pee-wee. Popcorn meter got 79%. So that's awesome.
This has to be
The
the
LA
highest one.
Times.
No?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The LA Times wrote, "The wrong crowd will find these antics infantile and offensive. The right one will have a howling good time."
Amen.
Word. Completely agree with you, LA Times. Newsweek described this as Mattel surrealism, a toy store fantasy in primary colors and 50s decor. Whoever proposed teaming up Pee-wee, aka Paul Reubens, with 26-year-old director Tim Burton knew exactly what they were doing. Together, they've conspired to make a true original, a live-action cartoon, brash enough to appeal to little kids and yet so knee-deep in irony that its faux what is it?
Naivete.
Naivety looks as chic as the latest retro fashions. Well said, Newsweek.
Mhm.
Seriously.
Okay, so you found that Gene Siskel gave Pee-wee's Big Adventure a 0-star. And then I heard that Ebert confessed that it wasn't reviewed by him, at least, but it's
Right.
on his list of guilty pleasures.
Right, but he didn't even review it when it came out. Like, only
Crazy.
Siskel reviewed it.
Siskel-
And
Douche.
what did he say? He gave it 0 stars, which
Yeah.
I think this is our first Siskel 0 star, which he has to regret. He had to have regretted that. He had
Right.
to have.
Well, he said, obviously, Pee-wee is tolerable only in Pee-wee doses. You have to be a lot funnier on the big screen than on the tube to sustain a feature-length story.
Wrong.
Suck it, Siskel.
Not accurate, Mr. Siskel. Did he even watch the movie?
Probably not. He's not playful.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to guess he didn't really watch it.
Well, I guess his childhood sucked.
Right. I mean, Variety comparing him to Charlie Chaplin or Buster Keaton, I think is like dead on.
Yeah.
That sort of humor, that it was still happening. Like, that's amazing.
Now, along with people that suck would be the New York Times, who wrote that apart from a few scenes, it was the most barren comedy I've seen in years, maybe ever.
I literally laugh every 2 seconds in this movie.
Yes.
Right. And then the Washington Post also sucks. They said it isn't a movie, but a collection of found objects from the garbage heap of low culture.
Well,
They can
Paul
fuck right off.
Attanasio can suck it too.
Yes. They
He
have
is
no
not a
fun in
person
their
that I would
lives.
want to associate with.
Exactly. So that's what we have for critiques and rave reviews. Should we get into it? Are we ready?
Let's do it.
I'm ready. I was born ready.
Yes, you were.
We know.
We start off Pee-wee's Big Adventure in a dream where Pee-wee is in the Tour de France. He's on his bike and he passes everyone up. And Pee-wee wins the race. There's not a very big crowd for the Tour de France, but they celebrate. And as he's about to be crowned the winner of the Tour de France,
I miss France.
I miss France.
Putting a crown, like literally putting a crown on him.
Yes. An alarm goes off and everyone all of a sudden just scatters. The alarm was actually his alarm to wake up in the morning. So he wakes up from this dream and we realize how quirky Pee-wee is right away, because as soon as he turns off that alarm,
Yeah, we do.
he pulls the alarm clock and he has a string attached to it that turns on his record player. It plays sort of this Snow White sort of song. I don't know what the song was, but it almost sounds like it should be in Snow White. He also has retractable bed sheets. So he pulls up on it and it just retracts. His bedroom is very 1950s kids bedroom vibes. He jumps on his bed and then he puts on bunny slippers. He lifts these 5-pound little weights. Then he starts playing with toys. Then he slides down a fire pole that's installed in his room. And as he goes down that fire pole, his clothes have changed. So he's not in his pajamas anymore. He's now wearing his famous Pee Wee Herman suit with the bow tie. And we see Pee Wee's home for the first time. Very kitschy and very fun. And we enter Pee Wee's kitchen. He says good morning to his dog Speck, who's just a little tiny dog, and he has a big, huge dog house. And they decide to make breakfast. Except Pee-wee makes breakfast a little differently than most people do. He's got a whole system to make breakfast. And he turns on a fan.
Rube Goldberg over here.
Yeah.
Yes. He turns on a fan, which activates some pinwheels. He lights a candle and he puts that flame under a string that sort of drops an anvil, and things start kind of moving around. And ultimately an egg goes through this tube There's one of those pecking bird water toys, the drinking bird toy from the 1950s.
Yeah.
It taps on that egg and it cracks it. And a pterodactyl kind of flies by on a wire. And he's holding bread and he drops it into the toaster oven. And there's
That
a
is
little...
where I really got the Tim Burton feel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
in this scene,
Yeah.
especially
Absolutely.
with the skeleton.
How it's shot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's super cool.
Yeah.
There's a little cherub statue and it's holding like a little vase that's filled with pancake mix and he pours it into the pan. And Abraham Lincoln, there's like a full-sized Abraham Lincoln statue who's actually cooking the pancakes. And Pee-wee's, okay, everything's cool here. I'm going to go in the bathroom. And so he goes in his bathroom and you see that his window is actually a fish tank. So when he looks outside, he's actually looking at a fish tank and you see the fish kind of swim by. And he goes to brush his teeth. He's got this giant toothbrush. I mean, it's huge. And he brushes his teeth real aggressively with it. And he starts kind of foaming at the mouth from his toothpaste. And he pretends to be like a mad dog while he's looking in the mirror and he's kind of barking at himself. We kind of pan back to the kitchen where we see that breakfast is still being made. There's a T-Rex that's got an orange in his mouth and he squeezes it. So he's making orange juice. Speck has...
So here's a goof. There's a
Yes.
goof, a revealing mistake. Is when Pee-wee's breakfast is being made, the orange being squeezed from the juicer is clearly a foam rubber bowl.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
tell. So yeah, it definitely doesn't look like an orange. We get it, what it's supposed to be. So Speck actually has an automatic dog food dispenser, and that dispenses his food into this giant dog bowl. Pee-wee's back in the bathroom. He's about to leave the bathroom when he notices that he has Scotch tape, which is a weird thing to have in your bathroom, but sure. And he takes the Scotch tape and he proceeds to take the tape and pull his nose up and then tape the tape to his head so that his nose looks like a pig. And then he tapes his lip and his forehead. And it's just...
It's so funny.
It's just genius.
is.
I mean, like, you watch this scene and you're just sort of like, what? But it's magical that he just found just absolute... It was the funniest thing that he did that with tape. And this is Paul Reubens. That's just who he was. Like, this is probably something that he just thought nothing of. I can just grab some tape and tape up my face and people are going to maybe think this is funny. So you kind of look back, they kind of pan back to the kitchen. Abraham Lincoln is flipping these pancakes and they're all stuck to the ceiling. And then we go back to the bathroom and Pee-wee rips the tape off of his face and he just screams really loud and then he starts laughing. And it's just... So
It is like being with a 5-year-old.
It really is. And
I
so,
don't think 5-year-olds are this fun.
yeah, it's I don't know. So he has a scale in there that's very 1950s, like something that would be in like a drugstore, and you'd have to put money in it and it would give you like a fortune. So you have to pick what astrological sign you are. And so he picks his, and it gave him a fortune. I notated that he only weighed 98 pounds. And his fortune that he gets out of this machine says, "Don't leave the house today."
Foreshadowing.
So now his breakfast is ready. He runs into the kitchen just in time to catch his toast. And he takes his completed breakfast to the table. He butters his toast with this giant knife. His pancake is like the head of a face. And the eggs are the eyes. They're perfectly round, like the yellow part of the egg.
The yolk.
Yeah, the yolk. And a strawberry for the nose and 2 pieces of bacon for the mouth. And he moves the bacon like it's a talking mouth. And he says,
Pee-wee.
"Good morning, Pee-wee." And Pee-wee says, "Good morning, Mr. Breakfast." And then the pancake face says, "Can I have some Mr. T cereal?" "Okay." And Pee-wee grabs a box of Mr. T cereal and he says, I pity the fool that don't eat my cereal. And he proceeds to pour the Mr. T cereal all over this breakfast and covers the whole
Yeah.
plate like a mountain of Mr. T cereal. He eats one piece of the Mr. T cereal, pretends to eat the mountain of cereal.
Oh, because
chomp, chomp,
Speck
chomp.
was eating, right? Speck was
Yeah, so-
eating its food.
Yeah, so he looks at Speck and then he kind of goes back and imitates him by
Yeah.
eating that mountain. So he eats 2 more pieces of the Mr. T cereal from the giant fork that he has. He wipes his mouth and then he gets up and kisses Speck and says goodbye, be good, and he's out the door.
Yeah, I gotta go.
So he made this whole elaborate
No, he didn't make
break-
anything.
Well, I'm sorry. His
Waste.
there was an enormous breakfast prepared for him, and he ate 3 pieces of Mr. T cereal.
Who would kill for that meal right now?
I know, but he must make it
Right?
every day.
Right.
This is the first time that we see the outside of Pee-wee's house, and
Concept of how old he is.
I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
because I think this is from the documentary, was that this was a reality in which Pee-wee's not considered odd or like an outsider in any way. He's just a normal part of the community, which I appreciated. I don't think I knew that either. So I think he's just an adult man.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Just a totally normal guy.
Yeah.
So the outside of Pee-wee's house, it's just wacky and wonderful. And he's got a blow mold Santa sleigh on the top of his house with 4 reindeer.
You
And
gotta love a blow mold Christmas
Gotta love
car.
Mhm.
gotta
So
love a blow
good.
mold.
You
This
don't
house
get better
room-
than that.
He's got a teepee out there. There's like a deep sea diver statue. Santa, there's a cow, there's a horse, a donkey, and Pee-wee wants to water his lawn. So the deep sea diver is actually some sort of water system that he can turn on his Willy water bug sprinkler. I had to look up what the name of that sprinkler was because I remember it and I just couldn't remember what it was called. So he turns on his sprinkler and Pee-wee actually goes to the backyard and he's got this keypad that he has to put in like a secret code. And you can see sort of like things moving around, antennas are moving, and there's a blow mold pumpkin and the eyes light up like it's activating something. And he pulls down a branch on the tree and it opens like a hedge, like a secret hedge. And there's a door that opens in it and it reveals his bike.
Ta-da!
Yes. And so we see his bike for the first time and it is badass. I mean, it's got streamers, it's got a fin, it's got a microphone on the front of it with a speaker, and he looks at the bike and he goes, "Good morning." And he kisses his bike and he rolls it out and he's, "You're the best bike in the whole world." And I notated that where he has this bike stored, he put a black sheet on the back wall with a focus of a silver behind it. So he had to construct this presentation for his bike so that every morning when he
Yeah.
opens it, it's ta-da! Here's my
Yeah,
bike.
it's like shining.
It is. It's
Yeah.
super cool. So Pee-wee's walking down the driveway with his bike, getting ready to start his day, and he's interrupted by Francis. Good old Francis.
Stupid Francis.
And Francis is sort of wearing this blue jumpsuit with his initials monogrammed on it. He tells Pee-wee, "Hey, today's my birthday, and my father said that I can have anything that I want." And Pee-wee's, "Yeah, good for you and your father." And Francis says, "So guess what I want?" Pee-wee's like, "A new brain? No, your bike." And Pee-wee laughs so hard that he just falls on the ground. And Francis, "Hey, what's so funny, Pee-wee?" And Pee-wee's, "Yeah, it's not for sale." And Francis pulls out this stack of money and my father basically says everything's, negotiable. And
We talk Francis's fit for
yeah,
just a
yes.
second.
I kind of want to describe this blue jumpsuit.
It's a jumpsuit. It's like
It has initials on it.
His
Yeah.
initials on it. Who is, I don't know who wears that, but I guess it's appropriate for Francis.
yeah, but then we see that like in a little bit, like the dad's wearing the same exact thing. Like,
It must
With his initials.
what's
it must-
happening here?
It must be a Buxton thing.
I guess so.
Like the Buxtons wear jumpsuits. That's a Buxton thing.
My one thought was there's a line when we get to it. I'll point it out. But Mr. Buxton says something about him and France. Like, Francis has been with me all morning. We've been working to set up for his birthday party or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, maybe these are their matching birthday party setup.
Like their work outfits.
Yeah. Anyway,
Maybe.
I digress.
So this is where we get into some of these lines that have stuck with me for my whole life. There are so many lines from this movie that I use in my daily life. And this is where Pee-wee and Francis are sort of like going back and forth. And Pee-wee's, I wouldn't sell my bike for all the money in the world, not for $100 billion, million, trillion dollars. And they go back and forth where you're a nerd. I know you are, but what am I? You're an idiot. I know you are, but what am I? And Pee-wee says infinity. And I say that a lot, infinity. And people are always like, what? What are you talking about? It's basically ending an argument. Pee-wee starts mocking Francis and tells him to shut up. And Pee-wee says, why don't you make me? No, why don't you make me? Pee-wee says, because I don't make monkeys, I just train them. That's another line that people use quite a bit. This is where we learn just how awesome Pee-wee is. And as Pee-wee sort of is starting to walk away, Francis tells him about the first time that he saw Pee-wee on his bike and how much he really loved it. And Pee-wee's like, oh, I love that story. As he walks away, I love that story. And Francis yells, you'll be sorry, Pee-wee Herman. Yes. So
Great scene.
yes. And so Pee-wee's now on his bike. He's riding through the park and he picks up his microphone and he starts singing into the microphone. And he sort of sees these BMX kids in the distance doing some BMX stunts. And Pee-wee's, I'm going to do some tricks on my bike too. And he's sort of just leaning forward onto the handlebars and leaning backwards. And you're not really doing any tricks here, buddy. He puts his legs up onto the handlebars and yep, I'm super cool. And he makes it through the park and he does this move where he's like leaning forward to put his leg out and he ends up hitting a curb and he falls off of his bike and he stands up and there's this group of kids there and I meant to do that. And that's another line that I used. I meant to do that. So he ends up in a shopping center and there's like literally like 50 bikes locked up on a bike rack. It just goes on forever. I don't know if you noticed that. He walks up and it's just like bikes forever. And so there's no place for him to put his bike because like all the bike racks are filled. So he decides that he's going to lock up his bike to this mechanical clown that's just in the middle of the shopping center. And he pulls out what
and when you talk about clowns, this is the clown that nightmares are made of.
Yes, he is a creepy,
hands down,
creepy clown.
So scary clown.
So he goes to pull out this chain and it's literally, he's pulling this chain for forever. It had to be like 500 feet long. So he wraps up his whole bike like a gift. I mean, he wraps up that whole entire bike with chain and he locks it up. And then he goes into Mario's magic shop and Mario's just super happy to see Pee-wee. And Pee-wee's, yeah, I need some supplies. This is where we see him with the big ear. And he's, what? what? He's got the x-ray specs on, and he looks over at the lady, and he's, ooh, and he winks at her. And Mario,
And the lady's looking at him like he's weird. But it's like,
yeah,
lady, what are you doing?
she's
What
sort of like
you
standing
doing?
there.
Like they're tucked into that little.
yeah.
Yeah, he's the weird one here.
Yeah. And so Mario snaps his finger and he disappears. And he comes out with this box of new items. And he's box for Pee-wee. And Pee-wee goes through it. And he's kind of like picking out stuff. And Mario's like, how about this? And he's, no, how about this? Yeah. Pee-wee picks out trick gum, a pair of headlight glasses, and a boomerang bow tie direct from Australia. So he leaves the magic shop. And he goes to check on his bike, and he says to the bike, I'll be right back. Everything's good with the bike. So Pee-wee walks into Chuck's Bike-O-Rama. All the BMX dudes are there. They're hanging out. They're pretty happy to see Pee-wee, and they ask if Dottie is still working on his bike, but he says, I can't talk about it. It's James Bond kind of stuff. Dottie asks him if he'll go to the drive-in with her, and he just rolls his eyes at her.
If
And
I
he-
can make a fun fact,
Yes.
one of these BMX kids is David Glasser, who's the CEO of 101 Studios. That's the production company behind Yellowstone.
Oh,
But he's actually like a super duper successful guy.
That's a deep cut there. Wow.
yeah.
Nice.
He's a dude.
Yeah.
So-
His company has gathered 195 Academy Awards and Golden Globe nominations.
and look at where he started.
As a BMX dude.
A BMX biker dude.
But no, like the BMX guys like truly like talking to him. They're like, hey,
Yeah.
how's it going? And ask if he get his bike back. And he said he had it back for a couple weeks, I believe. But then
Yeah.
they said kind of like, well,
She's
What-
working on my horn.
she's working on my horn, and then they want to know more. And then he's, I can't
I can't talk about
this
it.
This is some James Bond kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Dottie obviously really dotes on him, and he's just not interested. And he says, listen, Dottie, I like you. I like you. Dottie, there's a lot of things about me that you don't know anything about, Dottie. Things you wouldn't understand. Things you
Wouldn't understand.
Things you shouldn't understand. And she says, I don't understand. You don't want to get mixed up with a guy like me.
I'm a
I'm
loner.
a loner, Dottie, a rebel. And he grabs his horn from her hand and he says, so long, Dot. And he leaves and he's just laughing. Because obviously he got this from a movie or something. Pee-wee's walking back towards where his bike is, and all of a sudden he just sees chain parts all over the ground. And he looks up, and this clown that he had it strapped to is laughing at him. And he's, oh my God, my bike is gone. And he drops the bag from the magic shop and he walks back into Chuck's Bike-O-Rama. And he blows this horn that she just fixed for him. And it's like the loudest semi horn that you've ever heard. And he just yells, Dottie! And he knocks over this whole line of bikes that are out on display. And the cops show up, an ambulance shows up. There's a fire truck there. And the cop kind of is standing over him. And he's like, listen, buddy, I'm afraid we can't consider your bike being stolen a police emergency. If it doesn't turn up, then come down to the station and fill out a report. That's the best we can do. And everyone just leaves. And Dottie's like, where are you going, Pee-Pee? And he says, to find my bike. And Pee-wee walks around aimlessly. And it appears that everyone is on a bike except for him. And Pee-wee.
That was great.
Yeah, I mean,
That was great.
it's a really great scene where he's just sort of walking around aimlessly. And it sort of does a nod to Alfred Hitchcock, where he's standing in front of all the bike wheels that are turning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's super cool. But the other thing about this scene was that, so Pee-wee is like real white in this scene and he's sort of sweaty. And apparently he was actually battling like a super terrible flu. but they
Mhm.
had to keep rolling. And so that's why he looks like it was perfect because he just looks distraught, but he was actually really sick. So the next morning, Pee Wee goes down and he files a police report, or maybe it's the same day, with Sergeant Hunter.
Same day.
And she says, "What leads you to believe that the Soviets were involved?" And he's like, "Well, I know." And she's, "Look, let me just be honest with you. Hundreds of bikes are stolen every month. Very few of them are ever recovered. We just don't have the resources." And he's like, "So yeah, you're just basically saying you can't do anything. My bike means everything to me. I knew the police weren't going to help me." And she says, "Well, do you know what I would do if I were you? I'd just retrace my steps." And I parked my bike, and when I came back, it was gone. "Well, can you think of anybody who might have wanted to take it?" And he says,
Everyone.
"Everyone in my bike. This morning, right before it got stolen, Francis offered." "Francis." And he goes stomping out of the police station, and he stomps right up to Francis's front door, and he pounds on the door, and this big bodyguard dude answers the door. Maybe it's the butler. I don't know. But
He's labeled as the butler.
okay, he's got this little weird voice where he's like, "Francis is busy." And Peter's like, "Yeah, busy doing what?" And he's having his bath. And he goes, "Oh, really? Where are they
Really?
hosing him now?" So the bodyguard butler dude slams the door, and Pee Wee just continues to keep knocking. And
Me
then me again. And the guy slams the door, and then he puts up this mechanical knocker that's like a clown hand that Pee Wee just so happens to have on him. And the butler answers the door while Pee Wee sneaks in like a side entrance or something. He runs upstairs and he finds Francis in this giant bathtub, like absolutely ginormous, like a pool.
More like an indoor swimming pool.
Yeah.
Like a small indoor swimming pool, but it has the faucet, like the handles, and they're just huge. Like, if you look at it, you're like, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense." It's hilarious. And Pee Wee just walks right into the bathtub. Just walks straight into the bathtub. And Francis was playing with these ships in the water, like pretending that, like, like these little
Like he was
ships.
playing Battleship.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. And so Pee Wee's like, "Why'd you steal my bike?" And Francis is like, "I didn't do it." And Pee Wee had locked the door behind him, and the bodyguard and now Francis's dad are trying to break down the door. And Francis, eventually they do get in. Pee Wee opens the door and he tells his dad, like, "I didn't do it." And essentially Pee Wee says, "Well, I hope we don't have to involve the authorities, Mr. Buxton." And they kind of come to an agreement. "Hey, it's not a big deal, but my son would never steal your bike. He's got all the money in the world. He can buy whatever bike he wants, whatever." So Pee Wee's, would you care for some gum?" So he gives them the trick gum and he leaves, and you see Mr. Buxton has like the fire hot gum, and he's and Francis has the gum that turns black, and there's just black like ink coming out of his mouth. So Pee Wee's out. He's putting up these reward signs that say $10,000 reward. And Dottie's, "Where are you going to come up with $10,000? And Pee Wee's, "Well, easy. Whoever turns in the bike is obviously the person who stole the bike, and they don't deserve a reward." So then he goes on the radio and he's like telling this whole story, and the DJ is, "Wow, what a story. And I hope you get your bike back." And we kind of go to a scene where Francis is sitting in his home with this greaser dude, and they're listening to the radio together, which is what people do, I guess.
Right.
And they hear Pee Wee offering. Yeah, AM radio. And so they're just listening to this, and Francis tells the greaser dude, "I've changed my mind. I don't want this bike. You got to get rid of it. I don't want to be involved in this anymore." And the greaser dude is, "Well, that's extra money if you want me to get rid of the bike." And the guy's, "Yeah, see you later, sucker." And the greaser dude walks out the door with Pee Wee's bike. So Pee Wee decides to have this meeting in his basement, and everyone in this whole entire town is there. Literally everyone. There's like 1,000 bikes on his front lawn. Even Speck is there. And he pulls out this box and he's like, there are over 217 pieces of evidence. There are over 217 pieces of evidence in this box. And he pulls out like a photo with him and his bike. Then he pulls out a photo without his bike. He's like, do you know what's wrong with this picture? It's me without my bike. Yeah. And Pee-wee honks the horn that he picked up at Chuck's Bikorama. And everybody's like covering their ears. And it's just, he's torturing these people. And Chuck interrupts and he's like at exhibit Q they've gotten to. And they're all sort of like laying around. Oh my God. And Chuck is, we've been here for over 3 hours. And Pee-wee is like obviously losing it. And why does he say it's like he's unraveling a cable knit sweater that someone keeps knitting
and knitting and knitting and knitting.
So Pee-wee's kind of gone crazy.
Yeah, so everyone's just we're out.
Oh, yeah, we're out. And he kind of yells at Dottie. And he says, I don't need your help. I don't need anybody's help.
She comes up to him. She's so nice. And she's just like, I think I could help Chuck to give you a discount. I mean, she was like really sweet to him. And he's just,
I don't need your help. And I don't need help from anybody. And so,
and the
poor
cut,
Dottie.
that cut from that scene, I don't need anybody. And then automatically it's like middle of the night,
He's walking
pouring
down this-
rain. Yeah.
He's walking down this rainy alleyway. And this guy kind of jumps out from the alley and tries to jump him, which, side note, that's Tim Burton.
Yeah.
The guy who jumps him is Tim Burton. And you wouldn't recognize him because, like, his hair's all wet and is in his face. But if you do rewatch that scene, you're like, oh, yep, that's Tim Burton. That's the only part of the movie that he's in.
Tiny little baby Tim Burton.
Tiny baby 26-year-old Tim Burton.
Yeah.
So Pee-wee kind of hisses at them and they all run away. And he's just wandering aimlessly and he comes across this Madame Ruby's tarot cards, income tax, and Paul
and the
Dottie.
that cut from that scene. I don't need anybody. And then automatically it's like middle of the night,
He's walking
pouring
down this-
rain. Yeah.
He's walking down this rainy alleyway. And this guy kind of jumps out from the alley and tries to jump him, which, side note, that's Tim Burton.
Yeah.
The guy who jumps him is Tim Burton. And you wouldn't recognize him because, like, his hair's all wet and is in his face. But if you do rewatch that scene, you're like, oh, yep, that's Tim Burton. So that's the only part of the movie that he's in.
Tiny little baby Tim Burton.
Tiny baby 26-year-old Tim Burton.
Yeah.
So Pee-wee kind of hisses at them and they all run away. And he's just wandering aimlessly and he comes across this Madame Ruby's tarot cards, income tax, and Paul Reubens. So she opens the door and she tells him, cash only. Do you have cash? Because otherwise you're not coming in here. And he's like, yeah. So they go in and he goes, well, tell me why I'm here. If you know everything, tell me why I'm here. And she goes, well, you're here because you want something. And you're right. And wow, this lady knows what she's doing. So he hands her all this wadded up money that looks, if you pause it, it looks like he gives her like $4.75. So I don't know what that would get you. But so she, like, as he pulls out the money, she sort of pulls the wallet towards her. And she puts it in her lap and she's looking through his wallet and she sees all these multiple pictures of him on his bike, like a picture of his bike, a picture of him and his bike, like a picture of him kissing his bike. It's like the whole wallet is filled with pictures of the bike. And so she's looking in the crystal ball and she says, I see a bicycle. And he's, yes, is it okay? And she's, it's okay. And he's like, where is it? She says, it's somewhere else, somewhere far away. And he's, but where? And so she looks out the window and she sees this sign that's on the side of a building. And it says Al and Moe's Discount Warehouse. And she says, the Alamo. And she looks out the window again. And on that ad, it says bargain basement prices. So she says, it's in the basement. And Pee-wee's, I'll never forget you. So the next scene is Pee-wee hitchhiking with a sign that's shaped like the state of Texas, and there's a star where like San Antonio or like the Alamo would be. He's got this giant plastic fake thumb, and he's hitchhiking with that thumb, and nobody will stop. So he's just sort of like, this is ridiculous, and he sort of sits down, and then he falls asleep in the road, like he's hanging into the road, and cars are like swerving to avoid him. And finally somebody like stops, and he gets in, and he's just sitting there all happy, and he kind of looks over and he realizes this guy's got handcuffs that are cut on his wrists, and his name's Mickey, and Pee-wee's, I'm Pee-wee. So they're kind of
What'd you
staring at
do?
each other like, and he's like, how about some music? And the radio, when he turns it on, is talking about this escaped convict that is armed
right.
and dangerous.
Yeah.
And so Mickey turns the radio off, and he's, forget the music. Let's just enjoy the scenery. And Pee-wee looks at the handcuffs, and he's, what did you do? And he goes, well, I lost my temper, and I took a knife, and Pee-wee's, whoa. He goes, those little do not remove under the penalty of law labels that they put on mattresses? And Pee-wee's, yeah. And he goes, well, I cut one of them off. And Pee-wee's like, and he's, yeah. He goes, yeah, I have a real bad temper. And Pee-wee's, well, I always thought that was the dumbest law anyway. And Mickey's, yeah, you said a mouthful.
I feel like this started an entire generation of people that actually thought that was illegal.
Yes.
I
Yes.
really do. It does say that, but the subtext says, you
Unless
know,
you're the consumer, which
Right.
would mean once you buy it, you can cut it off.
right. So I think everyone was like, you can't cut that off. You
Yeah,
can't.
you're
I
not
saw
allowed
it
to
in
cut those
Pee-wee's
off.
Big Adventure.
Yeah, Pee-wee's life can be so unfair. And Mickey's, yeah, you're telling me. And this is kind of like a funny scene where Mickey is trying to light a cigarette, and he puts Pee-wee's hand on the steering wheel. And Pee-wee is just, well, he's steering the car, and Mickey just looks at him like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? And he's just, forget it. And he like pushes his hand away, and he starts steering again because he's, yeah, this dude's weird. There's a truck stop. Oh, there's a truck next to Pee-wee and Mickey. And they're sort of going to turn left, and this truck comes up to the right of them. And Pee-wee's bike is on that truck. But they don't ever see it because they make the left-hand turn, and the truck keeps going straight. So we see his bike, but unfortunately his bike is going a different direction. So Pee-wee apparently has told Mickey about this story, what happened to his bike, and that's when I decided to just take the law into my own hands. And Mickey's like, the law. And Pee-wee kind of repeats them, the law. And then they're like, the law. And they realize that there's a police barricade in front of them. And this is hilarious because they realize it's a police barricade, and Mickey says, well, this is it, kid. And he pulls out a gun. And Pee-wee's like, wait, I've got an idea. Now, they're like 500 feet away from this police barricade. It's close. And somehow within the time that they realize that there's a police barricade and they actually get to the police barricade, they have now put themselves into disguise. And Pee-wee is wearing a house coat. He's put on a wig that is like a ponytail, and he pulls up the legs on his pants so it looks like he's wearing a dress. And it almost looks like he put on a tinted lip gloss or something, because it kind of looks like he's got lipstick on. And
Yeah.
Mickey just puts on a fake mustache and a pair of glasses, and he doesn't really change. And so they pull up to the officer, and the officer's, hey, there's an escaped convict. That's what we're looking for. And Pee-wee's like, yeah, we heard all about it on the radio. And the officer, he shows him the picture, and Pee-wee's like, I've seen better heads on video. And the officer is basically, Pee-wee's, do you recognize this guy? And Mickey's, And so the officer's, can I ask you to step out of the car? Because I want to get a better look at that cute little outfit that you have on. And Pee-wee is like all about it. Just like,
Loves it.
So good.
smiling, and he's turning, and he didn't look at me, and he goes, why don't you take a picture to last longer? And that's another line that I still use it to this day. If somebody is staring at me, I why don't you take a picture? It'll last longer. So they all laugh, ha 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 ha, and they get back in the car and they pull away. And Mickey rips off the fake mustache and he takes off the glasses. And Pee Wee is just sitting there so smitten that he's in
so
this
happy.
disguise, and they just continue driving with him in this disguise, and he's just gazing out the window. And we kind of move on, and now Pee Wee is now in his regular suit, and he's driving, and it's nighttime, and you see like these street signs that have these windy roads, and they just progressively get worse. So you sort of see this snake one, then there's one that's it just looks like a ton of knots, and you see Pee Wee driving in the pitch black. I mean, it's dark out. And then he comes across a sign that's falling rocks, and you see just all these giant boulders just falling from the sky, and he's swerving to avoid them, and he drives off of a cliff, and as they're falling off the cliff, he's, Mickey, wake up, and finally he puts up the top to the convertible that they're in, and it sort of acts as a parachute, and they land, and Mickey's, get out of the car, you gotta go, and Mickey's, look, kid, I like you a lot. That's why I can't drag you into this. I'm bad, Pee Wee. You don't want to get mixed up with a guy like me. I'm a loner, a rebel. And Pee Wee goes, deja vu. Mickey's, see you in the promised land. Arrivederci, baby. And Pee Wee's, wait, I'm in the middle of nowhere. And they're literally just in the pitch black middle of nowhere. And this is fantastic because we come to a scene where it's just a black screen and you see these white eyes moving around on the screen, and you hear all these animal noises. And he actually brought the headlight glasses with him that he bought at Mario's, and he pulls them out and he turns them on, and he's completely surrounded by there's bears. I paused it. There's bears, mountain lions, tigers, coyotes, a wolf, and a vulture. All right. That's where we're parking the bike for now.
Coming up in part 2, Hollywood Chaos, a movie within the movie, and that dance scene that lives rent-free in our Gen X souls.
Thanks for joining us. Remember to subscribe so you know when we release new episodes. But for now, do your best Pee Wee laugh, and we'll see you in part 2.